All right, welcome back to the channel, guys. And today I am unveiling the new daily driver to you guys. However, it's not in the state that I would want it to be. As you can see, basically, really quick run through. This is a '09 Honda Fit, one owner prior to myself, sport with navigation. So I've been going through it and doing things I need to do to make it, reliable for daily driver duties and for my wife to drive it as well. Put new tires on it. However, when removing the old wheels or removing the wheels for the first time under my ownership, two of the lug nuts seized on the studs. So we have two broken studs, as you can see right here. So that's not ideal. And of course with these you need to replace the wheel bearing after you. Unfortunately, doesn't look like there's much room to do the method of shaving the studs and the carrier and the knuckle to get the studs in and out without separating the wheel bearing. So I just received all the parts in and everything to do the job. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how to do a press-in wheel bearing and studs on my new press, actually, too, which I just bought. So I just purchased this 12-ton press. I used to have a 20-ton and then I gave it to a Formula S. So hopefully this 12-ton will do the job. But in order to do the job, I also purchased a new tool, which is this universal press block. So this is a piece of thick aluminum, two pieces right here, two main pieces. And what you do is you bolt down this one piece down to this lower piece, and you have this adjustable, and you basically screw in these posts to help hold the knuckle in place inverted so you can press the hub out. So I used to have a thing called the hub grappler, which I also gave to Formula S because we were sharing that tool. The hub grappler was good in that it allows you to remove this hub with this whole knuckle on the car. So there's basically a big teeth that pull on this piece. So, it's for shops, so you can save time. You don't have to release all these ball joints and steering rack and axle. You can do it all on or you'd have to release the axle, but you don't have to take out the knuckle off of the car. But however, that tool is like $500, and to save time and me having to go back to Formula S to borrow and stuff like that, I bought the press and this piece. I think this was like $100. The press was $160, $170. So hopefully this will be all I need to press out the hub and the bearing. Once I get that set up on the press, I'll show you guys how it looks. All right, guys, here is the setup. So this thing is not super easy to use. I mean, it's easy, but I literally took probably like 30 minutes to find the right configuration for this. So as you can see, this piece is used to raise up to reach higher up pieces, because you need this knuckle to be high enough off of this piece so you can get the whole hub piece off. So basically this is how I have it set up, and it took me a while to figure out the different heights to use and different positioning. This block on this main piece is not that big, so originally I was trying to support it on this end piece, but it hangs too far off that in one direction I couldn't properly support it. So this ended up being the best position, this part being the sketchiest part right here, but I think it's gonna be fine. So hopefully we'll be able to do this successfully. I have all these pieces tightened off. These are big boys. These are 22 millimeters. This is a 24 millimeter right here, 22, 24. And I have a what is this, 34 millimeter piece from my bearing push and pull kit. So I'm going to set it up like this and then set a flat piece on here and start pressing. Okay, you may have noticed that my setup changed slightly. The sleeve that I was using earlier was too big, so it was almost getting pressed into the knuckle. So that was a close call, but I replaced it with a socket instead. So you should be able to see this come out nice and easy now. There we go. So I was using a 30 millimeter socket, if you're wondering. And here's the knuckle. So now all we need to do is, if you were to watch my other wheel bearing videos, just cut some notches into the side here and use my puller and my my bearing puller, and we'll pull this off, change the studs, and put the new wheel bearing in. Okay, at this point, you're gonna wanna turn the knuckle over and remove the snap ring. Using some snap ring pliers, and you want to make sure you don't do it like this, you do it like this, so that way if the snap ring goes flying, this kind of protects you. Okay, with the snap ring out, you're able to press out the bearing now. So since this bearing separator this is about as wide as it goes, it's not able to fit down on the very bottom. So I set it on here. I draw some lines where these parts match up, and then now I know where I need to cut my grooves in. Okay, working with the tools that I have, I came up with this contraption utilizing the bearing separator on top of my universal block. So hopefully this works. So after this comes off, I like to give this a little clean with a little gray pad. That way you can kind of clean up the surface. And this is ready to take the studs out now. Okay, here I have set up for stud removal. Okay, I have brand new OEM studs here, and we'll do a quick comparison, and it looks good. So go ahead and push the new studs in, press the new studs in. Here's how my setup is. I'm using these two to make a bridge and make an even surface for pressure to be on both sides as I press down. Okay, so we got all the studs pressed in successfully. And now we just need to put the new wheel bearing in, and don't forget the snap ring. We are going to go ahead and hit this inside with a little bit of the pad as well, just to give it a little cleanup. Okay, now for the wheel bearing, this is the back of the hub. We want to find the right size to support it. The bearing is not going to go past this outer lip, so you don't need something. As long as it fits, it'll be fine. All right, so when pressing in the wheel bearing, I have support on the bottom, and I want to make sure that, definitely make sure that this press-in sleeve is smaller than diameter than the wheel bearing, because you don't want to get that stuck in there. So I'm using the 76mm outer diameter, and this should work out pretty good. Once you feel tension, don't do it too much, but just enough. Then you can stop and inspect it. Make sure everything looks good. Okay, very important. Do not forget the snap ring. And on the snap ring, there could be a flat side and a rounded side. It looks like this one, they're both flat, so it should be good to go either way. Okay, make sure it's set in there. Make sure it's set in the grooves and all good. Now, all you need to do is press in your hub with the new studs in, and you are done. So the difference pressing in the hub is you're going to want to support it now on the inner race. So we cannot use this one. We're going to want to use one that fits on the inner race. Okay, I ended up using a 60mm to meet up with the inner race. Okay, make sure, double check everything, make sure you got your snap ring in. Okay, once everything is lined up, go ahead and start pressing. Start slowing down as you get closer. Okay, about good. Move everything. Inspect it, make sure it looks like it's the same gap as it used to be. It looks good. Spin it, make sure everything feels okay. And that is it, you are done. Now it's time to reinstall. I hope you liked today's video. Basically this thing was really clutch in allowing me to pull out the hub, which is always the most difficult part if you don't have the right tools. The point of this thing is to avoid from balancing these things. Some people use them like this and try to balance the arms on top of these pieces, and this is really sketchy to me, so I never liked that. This is a really cool tool, very sturdy, very useful. Ended up using part of the Harbor Freight wheel bearing separator, and of course my push and pull sleeve kit. So between these items and the press and everything, I was able to get it done. This is the press is about $160, $170. This was $100. This one I can't remember, I think it was maybe $175, and this one I think is pretty cheap at Harbor Freight. So all in all, I think you're under $500 in all these, and then you can make use with this press and get a lot of things done. So I think it's always a good investment to purchase tools if you can. That way you can learn to do things yourself, save money, you can even make money in doing this for friends if you want to. So that's today's video. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.